The year is 2017. You're 15 years old and you tell your parents that you really want to go see a new horror movie called It with your friends. Because it's an R-rated movie, you need a parent or guardian, and so one of your parents come with you and your buddies to check it out. 2 hours pass by and you are terrified by the film. Everything about it. You know, you were told that ancient horror story about a clown in your bedroom as a kid, and this just brought back all those freaky thoughts. And that's when your parent says, it's kind of stupid. Definitely not as scary as the original. And you're blown away. Wow, I can't believe they didn't think that was scary. The original must be terrifying, right? No, it's not. It's not even close. It's old looking and slower, and there's more laughable moments, and it's old. Does that mean it's bad? No. Does that mean it's less scary? Kinda. Sometimes. Most times. That's just how these things work. Your parents watched something decades ago that frightened them because even though the scares were technically weaker than the scares now, the concept was equally fresh. After all, your imagination plays the biggest role in scaring you. They were 15 years old and they went to see some classic horror flick, and it wasn't so classic back then, and it really scared them because the substance of the film was freaky. That's what stuck with them. So when your parent says, horror movies today are dumb, but man, The Exorcist was freaky, it's because what The Exorcist left them with was. Now, I'm not saying all of this to say that there aren't any old horror movies that are scary. There are plenty. I'm more so using this example to relay the point that what truly makes a horror movie scary is whatever allows it to transcend generations, to pass the test of time. Whether it be a terrifying concept, an iconic score, a haunting performance, or anything in between, I want to discuss what a good film does to make its viewers' skin crawl for years to come. Let's start at the heart of it all, the film's concept. What's your favorite scary movie? What's your parents' favorite scary movie? In either case, I'd guess that this chosen film has, to some degree, a standout concept. But this isn't necessarily true if you leave the genre. Some of my favorite movies are films like Spectacular Now or Social Network, these really chill concepts. One's a coming-of-age romance drama and the other is the story behind Facebook, and yet they rank among my favorite movies of all time because their execution was so incredibly strong. In my experience, this is a bit different from the horror genre. When a horror concept falls flat compared to its contemporaries, it tends to be kind of forgettable. There's a million slasher clones out there, but Bodies, Bodies, Bodies turns the genre upside down. It becomes memorable. And Host does the same thing in its field. This is particularly true with a lot of A24 movies. They do incredibly interesting things from a conceptual standpoint, but nowhere does it matter more than their horror films. Everything I'm subjected to in my previously denounced previews at AMC, the ones that grab my attention, they're usually from A24. So why are these movies not as popular as the ones like It or Insidious? Well, it's because their concepts are too standout, from a mainstream perspective anyway. Let's take this movie Lamb. Lamb angered me. Lamb really frustrated me, not because I necessarily hated the movie, but because it was marketed incorrectly, really poorly. It's this slow burn drama, and it's got like a few tiny elements of horror weaved in, but it's definitely not a horror film. Without giving away the ending, its horror is just conceptually way too much. It comes out of left field and it's crazy, and never in a million years would it be a box office hit. Guaranteed. Not a single multiverse. Its concept also just kind of didn't really work for me. Now, let's compare that to another A24 movie, which just so happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time, Hereditary. I'm not going to beat around the bush, everyone knows Hereditary, but I want to discuss why its concept is so effective. There's two types of things that terrify us humans. The first is obvious. It's the unknown. Call it whatever you'd like. Ghosts, ghouls, the supernatural, monsters, all of it, right? And the other is something arguably more sinister. Evil. Real, true, grounded evil. Sometimes this evil comes in the form of a demented person, and other times it comes in the form of a tragedy, an evil occurrence or event. This film masterfully plays on both of those fears. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything. I'll pretty much never spoil anything unless I say I'm going to, by the way. But this movie's concept is rooted in ensuring that we're all unsettled throughout the entirety of the film. It's designed to make you feel uneasy, sad, nauseous, petrified, and of course, scared. As scared as it can possibly make you. Its structure is genius, and it's very purposeful, with each new terror building into the next, making a bigger impact on the viewer with each new scene hitting hard like dominoes. I really don't want to say much more because it's just like so good, so if you haven't seen it and you think you're tough, go watch it, and let me know how you did in the comments. I see a lot of its influence in like newer horror movies like A24's Talk to Me, which was amazing. They do a really good job of balancing like these themes of grief and these really strong, dramatic scenes with like these terrifying, otherworldly phenomenon. It's awesome. But anyway, let's jump to a different kind of concept. My other favorite horror movie of all time, Scream. Scream is so ahead of its time. It's witty, subversive, scary, creative, meta, the list goes on and on. It's so good. From iconic costume design to perfect casting, this film hits on literally every level. And concept? Come on, dude. Whereas Hereditary is a very original story, it's like designed to live in your nightmares for all eternity, Scream wants to make you do just that. It wants you to scream and laugh and jump out of your seat. It's very engaging, and it achieves all this by creating an incredibly distinct style and vibe right out the gate. Its legendary opening is self-aware and terrifying. As the film progresses, you fall in love with the protagonist, Sydney. Trust me, I definitely did. She was like my biggest teenage crush. And then, because you care so much, you begin to care about the other dynamics in her life. You want to like her friends, and you want to hate her enemies. And the same goes for any other character you may latch onto, which, yes, I get is the point of a movie. But this concept is especially strong for Scream because you will come to realize that any one of these characters you've latched onto could be the killer. This makes the film electric, and as the characters start falling like flies, you race to solve the mystery before it's revealed. In this way, it's a slasher film, it's meta comedy, and it's a murder mystery wrapped into one. That is conceptually strong and incredibly memorable. It's why you're scared in a crowd or at any theater you're watching the movie in. It enforces the idea that the killer could be anyone and anywhere, that anyone could snap at any time. Okay, while we're talking concept, I want to rapid fire some films and give a quick Google summary, and then you guys can decide for yourselves if it stands out. Okay? Let's start here. Smile. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. As an overwhelming terror begins taking over her life, Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. There's basically, she's seeing smiling people everywhere, pretty much. Okay, so think it over. I give the concept a 5. Not too exciting, reads as kind of dumb, but they killed it, you know? Like, this movie was pretty scary, honestly. Really surprised me. I like this movie a lot. So even though the concept's a 5, good execution. Cool. Let's move on. The Fly, 1986. When scientist Seth Brundle, played by Jeff Goldblum, completes his teleportation device, he decides to test its abilities on himself. Unbeknownst to him, a housefly slips in during the process, leading to a merger of man and insect. Initially, Brundle appears to have undergone a successful teleportation, but the fly's cells begin to take over his body. As he becomes increasingly fly-like, Brundle's girlfriend, Gina Davis, is horrified as the person she once loved deteriorates into a monster. Okay, take it in, rate it. And rate it well. This is an awesome concept, dude. They built off the original really well. For this one, I'd say like an 8 or 9 out of 10, personally. Forget the fact that it's from the 80s. This is one of my favorite horror movies, and it's scary, and even though it's a little odd, it was really good. It's almost like a Shakespearean tragedy, and the reason it's scary is because the concept's cool and original, and it makes you think, and yeah, fun one. Alright, let's look at Prom Night, 2008. When a deranged high school teacher kills the family of the girl, Donna, that he loves, in a disturbed attempt to force her into a relationship with him, the man is caught and sent to prison. However, years later, at her high school prom, Donna is about to come face to face with the murderer once more. Will Donna and her friends escape the psychopath? Yeah, let's just skip that immediately because that's bad. Terrible, boring, overplayed, you know. You probably zoned out while I was reading that one. Maybe a 1 or a 2 if I'm feeling generous. Also, bad movie. Anyway, next. Last but not least, we have Old, 2021, a thriller about a family on a tropical holiday who discover that the secluded beach where they are relaxing for a few hours is somehow causing them to age rapidly, reducing their entire lives into a single day. This is a toughie, man, honestly, because that's a pretty fun concept. Like maybe a 7 on the concept meter. However, if you go check my Letterboxd, link in description, you will quickly notice that this is one of my lowest rated films of all time because wow, terrible execution. I really wish that the screenplay was in the hands of like Ari Aster because it's so fun and out there, and it really just got turned into like cringe, super duper cringe. Here, let me play you a couple clips. Spoiler alert if you care, but don't care.
Hey! Mom, Dad!
Kara, what did you do?
We were just playing. It's okay. I just got a little fat.
Why do you keep looking at me like you want to steal my wife?
So yeah, I think a strong concept is super necessary for strong scares, regardless of quality or budget. Like, you need to start with some sort of originality or just something interesting if you want the audience to be engaged and eventually take away something from the film. Strong concept, strong scares. Now how about strong atmosphere? Dun dun dun. The score is so important. My dad used to always say, the music makes it scary, and it just kind of goes back to the thing where it's like, why is Jaws scary? And I'd be like, it's because it makes you think of sharks when you swim. You know, pure concept. It's from 1975, it looks old, the visuals are comparatively not scary at all, which is true. So yeah, it's about the concept, scary shark in the water. But my dad argues that it's all about the little things, little earworms. Whereas I'm saying, you go see Jaws, you get in water, you think shark, you get scared. The alternate chain of thought is, you see Jaws, the music lives rent-free in your head, you deeply associate it with the scare, and then when the concept comes to you for whatever reason, I don't know, you're swimming in the ocean or whatever, you get sent back to the moment you heard the music, and you begin to feel the way you did, those goosebumps forming on your arms. And honestly, this kind of checks out more for me. It's prioritizing feeling over some sort of logical approach to scaring someone or, you know, instilling some sort of fear within them. Music is one of those things that can just completely alter your mood. So if that's what you carry with you after you finish the film, it could be able to alter your mood every time you think about it. Jaws is also kind of a weak example for this. What? How could you say that? Jaws music is so iconic. Okay, but like, it's from the 70s and the movie is also super specifically about sharks, so how is that supposed to scare me in my bed at 3 a.m.? Nah, it won't. So let's take a look at these. Oh, newer movies. Nice, I like it, except for Halloween, but Halloween also bangs. I'm gonna play you music from each of these films, and I just want you to think about how it makes you feel, okay? Just close your eyes. How does it make you feel? Let's start with the Halloween theme. Ooh, cool. Creepy. Okay, so personally I get like a very intense sort of cinematic vibe from it, which I guess seems obvious, but not necessarily in my opinion. I mean that it's playing on a large scale. It feels grand, almost like a boss battle. The creeping piano really plays into the whole stalker theme, and the chords that strike kind of support that cinematic boss fight type energy. It's pretty fast paced, it's almost kind of feeling like you're being chased by Michael. It's very purposeful and strong. Cool, now let's switch it up. Completely different vibe, wipe your brain clean, wasabi, all that, cool. Let's listen to The Alien from the Annihilation soundtrack. God, this one gets me every time. It just really fills you with that sense of dread and almost Lovecraftian cosmic fear. It really supplements that earlier concept of letting your imagination do most of the work. A bit different than the previous, The Alien is much more drawn out. Rather than being like a chase or a run for your life from a killer, it feels more so like you're trapped in a liminal space or a nightmarish dream. I saw an awesome YouTube comment that read, "This is the perfect example of the last man on Earth sat alone in a room. He heard a knock on the door." Absolutely chilling. And finally, let's check out the score from Jeepers Creepers. Well, that was garbage, wasn't it? I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with this film, but essentially its title riffs on this recurring theme of the song that goes, "Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers?" And it pops up every time the bad guy does bad stuff. Bad guy do bad stuff, creepy song plays on dusty vinyl. This is what I call a gimmick. There's a lot of gimmick horror, and I really dislike gimmick horror, you know, those like Freddy versus Jason, Alien versus Predator, or like Jeepers Creepers gimmick. The use of this song is an incredibly lazy way to try and fill the gap that is the sound of your horror film. As we've discussed, there's many elements that allow a film to stand the test of time. The substance of this film is virtually completely missing. I mean, there's a few fun moments and original ideas, but for the most part, it just kind of fades as the movie progresses. So the movie just starts using this Jeepers Creepers song as its crutch, its gimmick. It's hoped that when people watch this movie, even though they really didn't get an original or mind-blowing experience from it, Jeepers Creepers the song will be in their head, and then, I don't know, when they hear it again, or something similar to it, or something on a dusty vinyl, it'll be scary for them. I don't know. What I definitely do know is that they did not in the slightest bit try to create an original atmosphere for the movie watcher. Like, dude, listen to this music. This is pure GarageBand preset scary music, and you could argue that it was an era where, you know, all these scores from the early 2000s were this quality, or that Scream didn't have the best, most iconic soundtrack, and sure, but at least Scream hits on all the other fronts. Movies like Jeepers Creepers, Prom Night, Black Christmas, they're just lazy compared to their predecessors. This is one of the driest eras ever, and it just most definitely shows on the music front. I am pretty happy, however, that we're sort of having this renaissance in weird original horror, especially in regard to score, with films like A Quiet Place and Midsommar and Evil Dead Rise doing really cool things with their music and especially with their sound design. Oh, and Prey? Prey is one of the best film soundtracks I've heard in years. You don't even have to see the movie to enjoy it. It's incredibly stylized and purposeful and specific. It's kind of got that Far Cry 5 thing going for her, but it's darker and wider and weirder. It's awesome. Check this out. This song is called Seeing with New Eyes. So cool. I absolutely love this film, and I heard that they might be doing a sequel, so I can't wait. Prey has an awesome concept and score, and so far, should pass the test of time. Now, let's try putting it up against the final criteria. Characters. Okay, I know this one is a little dumb and vague, but hear me out. I was originally going to make my third criteria performances, but after some reflection, I realized that's not fair, because not all great horror films need to be rooted in great performances. But while we're on this topic, Toni Collette should have won the Oscar, or at least been nominated for Best Actress for Hereditary. Like, just watch this.
I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away from you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did, but you can't take responsibility for anything. So now I can't accept, and I can't forgive, because nobody admits anything they've done.
Anyway, I started thinking about Prey, and the lead performer, Amber Midthunder, gave an amazing performance. But then I was like, how about the person in the Predator costume? Or, you know, voiceover performances for some animated films. And horror is notorious for this over-the-top, not really good acting, and so I've come to the conclusion that, sadly, the performances kinda don't matter. It's an excellent cherry on top when there's an amazing performance like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs or Sigourney Weaver in Alien. It will certainly contribute to the film's legacy, but it kinda doesn't make or break how iconic the film is. The characters do. Here, if you don't believe me, let's try this. Who's the lead actress in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? She gave a solid, fine performance. Who is she? Whether you've seen the movie or not, who is she? Sounds like you don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, now let's switch from a performance lens to a character lens. Who's the killer? Leatherface, of course, because memorable characters are vital in horror. It's why Evil Dead has so many Ash spin-offs and why Scream 5 and 6 will get so many people to come to the theater at the mention of Sidney Prescott or Gale Weathers returning. The movies that are truly goated are the ones that hit on substance, hit on music, and hit on characters. Get Out nails them all. Hereditary nails them all. Even the famous oldies, The Fly, nails it, The Shining, Misery, The Exorcist. It just feels like there's a level of care in these films that only comes once every few years, and when it does, it's terrifying and exhilarating. So, the year is 2057. Your 15-year-old kid wants to see a horror movie called The Conjuring: Return to Conjuring Town with their friends. Because it's an R-rated movie, they need a parent or guardian to see it, and so you decide to take them. The scares are advanced now. The seats physically thrust you in certain directions at certain moments. Your VR headset allows you to feel truly immersed in the world of the paranormal, and the 4D sprays of water make you feel like the blood splattering is actually making contact with your skin. It's objectively scarier. Your heart pounds faster and harder than it did 40 years ago. As you walk back to the parking lot, you think back to when you used to sneak into your sibling's bedroom because you were too scared to sleep at night, or when you'd check every corner of the room and lock the door 100 times. You see yourself and your kid as they turn to you and ask, "What'd you think?"